The biggest learning lesson was that I actually don't know how to direct. um, I would say that what I learned the most is actually like, it's not up to you. It's about like how, like how you. It's about the crew. Like I never like credit myself as like, oh, I'm the one who like do everything. You could like
Right.
think about that in your head, but like at the end of the day, like it's like a slice of pizza, and like everything is like everyone's contributing to it. So it's basically everyone project at the end of the day.
My name is West Gibbons, and welcome back to the Tungsten Originals podcast. You just heard part of my conversation with Pong Tulyathan. We discussed his award-winning music videos, his process when working with an artist, and finding his voice as a Southeast Asian filmmaker. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy. Episode 72 of the Tungsten Originals podcast. Pong, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. I really appreciate you coming on. This is exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I first learned about your work through the Off the Block Film Expo, the second year, which I hosted. Your fantastic music video, Sicily, played in that, and I was really obsessed with it. I've watched it like multiple times, and so I'm glad I had that experience to be put onto your work. But as I've learned more about you from your website and kind of just talking around, you have a huge body of work, and it's all seems to be really, really good. So I'm excited to dive into that.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited to talk about like your music videos and short films and all the exciting stuff you've already made this year. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about your background and how you got into filmmaking. So I know from your website, you're from Bangkok in Thailand. So can you talk about growing up there and how you found filmmaking and wanted to pursue it as a career?
So I went to I went to school in Thailand until like middle school, around like seventh grade, and that time I don't really know what I was doing at all. Like basically, I was just like don't really know. I'm just like going there, like learning English stuff like that, and it's not even that good like education. Just
Mm.
doing that, and then my parents decided to tell me one day like, "Yo, like you're going to America," and I was like, "Oh, cool," and that's like the turning point, like the transition between like, do I choose to stay with my friend, which even like I don't really have a choice, but in the bottom of my heart I want to stay with like my local friends and stuff like that. But turns out like while my friends are like having fun and stuff like that, I'm doing like interview for like high school application and stuff like that. And I gotta sacrifice that time, and that time I don't really like enjoy doing that. I just wish like my parents doesn't just send me to America like that. But it was fine. And then I I got into the school, and it's like I went to this private high school in New York, and it's actually the only high school I got into because like there's the school has an English program, and other school they just reject me because of like like my test score, TOEFL, whatever that is. And then in middle, so when I was like a kid, like pretty much like I grew up watching like pop music video, like Justin Timberlake, Pitbull, all like those stuff. And because those are like famous on you, like like we have YouTube back then, so I just briefing. I was like, oh, this is kind of entertaining. I just like you just watch it when I'm like on break and doing class, or like while doing class, stuff like that. I was like 14 years, no, like yeah, 14 years old in 2014. Like I went to the school, and then for the first time, I've been to like US like a couple of times, but um that was like first time staying there, like so I went there for like summer camp, and then I have like house like parents and stuff, so like dorm parents, just me and like a couple other kids who like like some other kids can't even speak English. Like I can like a little bit, um but it was just pretty bad like like communication wise. But like the school did taught me how to like grow up and everything. And by the time I was like in like I would say like junior, I just kind of know like, oh, like I saw my like roommates like making like short film, short documents, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I started taking classes and stuff like that. And like I just pick it up, like I was like, oh, like senior year I want to like go to like film school and stuff like that. And I did
Mhm.
like my first short, like big short film in senior project. Yeah.
That's so whenever you were watching those like pop music videos and stuff like that, was there any part of you that at all was interested in the production of it? Or like, I mean, obviously people like music videos just because they're fun and you can do like interesting things with them, but was there any part of you that was at all interested in like how they were made and maybe doing that yourself?
To be honest, at that point I was so young, and like I just like what made those songs so catchy, because like it just like like it's how like our brain works. Like the more like catchy song, the more simple it is, like the more likely the people will listen to it. So I don't really never think about like how they film stuff. It's just like I just
Hmm.
listen to the song, but I just watching videos for fun.
Right.
Like to be honest, if I look back at those like music videos, they look kind of like bad. Like there's not really
Right.
Right.
production value. It's just like one
Right.
dude
Right.
or one girl like singing to the camera, like nothing.
Yeah. So whenever you're in your like your final classes in high school and stuff, and you were talking about the making things in those classes in school, a lot of people I've interviewed a lot of people and there's a lot of like digital media classes in high schools, and people certainly dabble in it. But when do you start taking it seriously as something to pursue professionally? Because that's a pretty huge jump from just a hobby to like going to film school and doing the stuff that you're doing now.
Probably like midway through my senior year, because that's when you like you have to pick your senior project, and I picked to do film for like obviously a reason. But at that time, like after I completed, like I got like a lot of good reviews from like my like teacher and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, it's very funny because like it's like a short comedy. And I just like use like my like like science teacher to be in it and stuff like that. So like a lot of like humors were coming from like student reacting to the teacher on different side of things, which is why. And when it got into like All American High School Film Festival, which is like pretty big.
Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
think
awesome.
I'm pretty
For
sure
like high
Quinn
Yeah.
Fluitt, our editor for the podcast, I'm pretty sure he's like been associated with that festival before. Quinn, you can throw up on the screen if I'm right or wrong about that. But yeah, I think I've heard about that before. That's a great program.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like it's very very great for like high school kids back then. And I was like, I got in the festival and I was like, oh, this is sick. And then like, based on the audience reaction, they were like less like the film is less funnier because of obviously like what I just said. Um, and I was like, I still like get a lot of respect from my class or like just grade lower and like teacher in general. So I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at filmmaking. Until I come to SCAD, I was like, well, I know nothing at all. Like like nothing.
Right.
Like I don't know how it works.
Right. So I mean that can genuinely be like super intimidating to go to SCAD. And I mean I knew people, of course, in my Film 100 project that had never made anything, people who had made features before, which like blew my mind to already make a feature before you're at film school. Do you think like how did that kind of change your perspective on filmmaking though? Like do you think that's when you really started figuring out like that you wanted to be a director and a producer?
Really, like to be honest, until like freshman year winter quarter, I don't know what like the like film roles is like like specific
Right.
roles. So I was like, I'm just gonna be a filmmaker, but I don't really know what and at the same time, like I usually don't like when people tell me what to do, because I've been like telling my like people been telling me what to do my whole life, especially my parents. Like just because I'm the only child. So like, oh, do this, do that. Like, oh, you can't do this too long. So I was just like, for the at least from now on in my life, I just want to be able to like make my own decision and like see things on how I see things. So which is why that's one of the reasons I want to be a director, because like I would able to like I trust my vision. And
Right.
being a director doesn't mean like you can't listening to other people. You always have to take feedback, and even though you don't like it or not, you still have to reconsider them and stuff like that. So but I think
Yeah.
that yeah, I always like as a kid I always like have like weird like like a bunch of visions, just like sometimes even just listen to a song. Since I grew up I just see like visuals.
That's okay. So that's it. So even from a young age, you were kind of imagining music videos before you even knew how to make them.
Yeah, like I imagined a lot of stuff when I was a kid, and I was like, well, like I feel like throughout those years, like right now, um film is actually helping me to like let those out, you know.
Right.
It's kind of like low
Right.
key is like a therapy somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. So at SCAD, like, is there a project that kind of stands out to you as like your first real project? Not that, of course, the things you made weren't real. I use real in a loose term because I can't really think of a better word. But like, you know, you get to SCAD and now you have access to equipment and like other people to be your crew, and you actually get to be the director and not be the DP and the editor and the producer and all that kind of stuff. So is there a project like that that kind of stands out to you as a big moment?
So I would say that the very first one is this music video. It's called Got It, and it was like the most personal piece because you know it was about like you know like also about like you know the artist's personal story, and also like you know like just like you know some part of it was my story too. But that was probably like the first official project I would say that you know, and that's probably like my turning point to do music video, you know, because I came into SCAD and you know I wasn't planning to do music. I you know I don't even know like you know like music video wise, you know I don't really like you know think I would be doing that. I just imagine myself like making like short films and build my way up to like feature. Um, but at that time, I don't even know what the word feature film is, you know.
Right.
So,
Right.
but you know, I just met my friend Darius, and we just like you know, I just like I never like to be honest. He's my first like African American friend, like official friend, who you know I met, and then I you know became obsessed with the culture and how like you know like his story and like stuff like that. So, you know, I started just shooting music video with him for fun, and it just turns into this, you know, like a bunch of music
Right.
video now. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, he's one of, I mean, I was again looking through your website, and I mean, he's the Sicily video as well, right? Like you've worked with him a ton.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was looking at Got It, and, you know, we'll be showing, if you're listening to the audio only version, you should go onto YouTube, check out the video, and we'll show some footage from all your stuff. But, I mean, that as like as a turning point, it's an incredible, like, piece of work, and it got into many festivals, including the Indie Memphis Film Festival, which is a festival near my hometown that I've been in before, and that's such a great festival. So like, what do you think was the biggest thing that taught you? Because to go from, you know, making a short comedy with your science teacher to making a great music video that got into a lot of festivals with access to this equipment and things, like, how did that feel to make that transition?
I feel like the only like my main purpose being in college right now is to use like the connection to you know do as much stuff as you can, because out there when you go out like it's all costing money, you know. But the turning like you know like that turning point, I just you know like I can see like music video in different ways, because you can really tell like a very good short story in a music video rather than just have like an artist just like you know like sing the words and just like you know singing to the song or whatever. There's like so many varieties of like storytelling, you know, like commercial to like music video, like even like you know like you can make a documentary from like boring to not boring, just how you do is like based on how you approach it, you know.
So what do you think was the biggest like learning lesson for making Got It?
The biggest learning lesson was that I actually don't know how to direct. It was yeah. I mean,
That's
you got to learn that at some point. So
yeah, like it's like I would say that what I learned the most is actually like you know it's not up to you. It's about like how you know like how you. It's about the crew. You know, like I never like credit myself as like oh I'm the one who like do everything. You know. You could like think about that in your head, but like at the end of the day, like it's like a slice of pizza, and like everything is like everyone's contributing to it, you know. So it's basically everyone project at the end of the day.
I think one of the interesting things about music videos is your working relationship with the artist, you know, because it's kind of like a director working with a writer, but you're basically having a musical artist, and they're giving you so much control over like this is what people are going to associate, you know, these songs with. Like you said, whenever you were watching those pop music videos, like they weren't that great, but you watched them because the song was so good. That is a lot of power as a director of a music video. And I've made one music video. I made it for my brother. I'm actually in that's what all these instruments are. I'm at his house for the week shooting something for him, but it was really fun to like, I know film stuff, obviously. He knows music stuff, and to combine our ideas and like we would kind of, luckily we speak the same language because we're related, but it was kind of interesting. I would have to like explain to him film terms and like what we're capable of doing in the editing room and stuff like that. So when you're working with these artists like Darius, how is that process, that creative process? Like, is he super involved and he comes to you with like a specific idea and then you carry it out, or do you come to him? Like, I know it can change project to project, but what's that like?
Yeah, so usually usually when you know, like, so most of the time, maybe I would say like half the time, I just usually just reach out to him first, like, yo, like, you know, like this song is like amazing, like I want to like, you know, work on the, you know, like we visual for it. Sometimes, you know, like he would be reaching out to me about like the song and stuff like that. And most of like, you know, all the time he would have like at least some specific things that he want to stay in. But I would say like most of the time he's like one of the best artists to work with, because he let me like, you know, do my job and come up with the creative process and everything, and then like, you know, explain to him like why we doing this, and then like after like I would say like after like at least 8 music video with him, at this point he just like let me do the job, you know. And but like my recent work, I Get Happy music video, he was involving a lot in terms of like how he wants his visual to look like, and you know, like finding like reference and stuff like that, which help out a lot and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. I'm glad you bring up that project, because that was a music video that I definitely wanted to talk to you about. You were telling me before we started rolling that you shot the music video for I Get Happy When I Think of You on 16 millimeter, which is really interesting. I mean, I've of course heard there I shouldn't say a lot of people, but there are people at SCAD that shoot short films on film, which in my mind is like more manageable, because a short film, you have a script and you know that like you know what you kind of need to get. Music videos, as you know, are so like ethereal and experimental, especially the way you do them, and you kind of just need to get a ton of footage so that you have room in editing to get it all. So why did you decide to shoot it on? I mean, it looks amazing, so I'm glad you did. But why did you decide to shoot on 16 millimeter, and what were some of those challenges? Because that would certainly stress me out.
So my DP Nate Cooper, like I've been trying to work with him for like maybe like a year.
Yeah, Ned's awesome.
Yeah, he's very awesome. And every like, you know, every time he would just texting me like, hey, if you need a music video on film, let me know. You know, so I was like, okay, like I was still, you know, I've been like, this sounds like this, like, the song is very good, and I really like it, and it could like, you know, the storytelling where it could like kill this. So I reached out to Ned like, hey, like, we don't have the budget yet, but we'll make it happen. Like, you know, we'll shoot on film for like, you know, for this project. And turns out like we found like, you know, like investor and stuff to help like fund the project. And I feel like shooting in film, it's like once you've done it like a couple of times, I feel like, you know, it's like film is what, you know, make digital, you know. So once you successfully done it, you know, I kind of like feel like I'm, you know, ready to move forward to like bigger stuff, you know. Like my goal is to shoot in 35 eventually when there's, you know, big budget shoot, but you know, 16 is definitely like a good way to start. And I would say it's very hectic. It wasn't that hectic, but like the, you know, it's like when you send out the footage to the developing company, it's like you're sending your baby away, you know, like you might not see them,
exactly.
you know, you might not see them again. So I was like scary. I would just like keep checking like the tracking like all the time and stuff like that. But the most challenging was on set. One time like the camera like like the film in the one time the film in the camera like got stuck in you know, the camera body. So our second AC has to like like fix and take it out for like a couple hours. So that was like the most stressful part, I would say. Yeah.
So whenever you're listening to these songs and you like think like, oh, the storytelling for this specifically can be really good, or I can do this. Like, do you immediately have an idea whenever you listen to a song, or do you have to like listen to it multiple times and then the idea starts to form? What's that creative process like?
My usually like in like music video brainstorming. Um, usually I just listen to the song first, and like first thing come into my head. Like for example, like sometimes I just see um, like just like basically genres. Like how like oh like this is
Right.
like more like a serious song. This is more of like like goofy and stuff like that. So that's come first, and then you just like seeing like the first couple visual I see in my head, and it's like should be like mostly the one that should be in the video. But most of the time I usually just listen a couple of times and like looking at like I have like a whole collection of like music video playlists on YouTube, or like this is like what I consider to be like a good music video, and I just go through them and see like which one is cool and which one is like like might fit the song. Sometimes I just like play the video and then play the song together so that I could see like if this is like the same beats of the music video and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, most of the time, it's just like you always have to get the approval from the artist, and sometimes
Right.
sometimes rappers can be difficult.
So have you ever pitched an idea and they're like, no, not really, like they don't like it?
Usually, like none of them ever say like I don't like this at all. They just like either
Right.
like tweak it. But on recent project, like I pitched this idea and like the artists love it, and but like the pitch wasn't not like like the pitching was too complicating and it's not gonna be able to fit the budget that they gave us. So we repitched them, and then he's like like you said, it's like nah, like because like I said, like if you approach the artist wrong, um, what make him say like no was because like like the song was planning to be like very serious, but we pitched like a goofy concept, which is the reason why he's like like I don't like it, and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
that can be a difficult, like at the end of the day you can accept it because they're the client, and like it's a song.
Right. And that's what is so interesting to me is that relationship, because like, yeah, it's you're the director, you're creating the vision and everything, but it's kind of their music video. Like people are going to see that and they're not really necessarily going to think about the director, they're going to think about the artist. So that is interesting. You were just saying that you have like a list of all these music videos that you consider to be good. So that brings up the question, what makes a good music video?
So what make good music video? Okay.
I know that's a big nebulous question.
Music video is like feature commercial shots. Like you always want to make the audience not look away. So like it's it's like a graph. Up and down. You like at first first shot is supposed to be like up high, and then like going down a tempo and then go up again. But end up with something like crazy so that the audience still want to like stay on the music video and watch it. And it's about storytelling. Like every industry music video, like they're like most high quality one, you can see how much effort is putting in it. I could name you like a ton and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the like the top music video I would say is by Frank Ocean, Nikes. One of the best storytelling. It's like every time I do music video, I hate like like you could, for example, like you could film your short film, like it's just about like what possible in the budget. Like you always have to go above
Yeah.
like your limits. Like you don't want to like make a short film like one location, two character dialogue. You always want to like like go beyond your limits. And same with music video.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to film your artist singing to the camera without any story, just because it looks cool and you like the location. You always have to play with like the lighting, like the production design. Like even like sound, like editing in music video. Making the audience feel like they're watching like a film than just like the music.
In that same, like that also brings out the question, if you hopefully one day you get handed unlimited money, you get handed a huge budget, you can do whatever you want in that fantasy, hopefully reality one day, is there a specific artist you'd like to work with, or even a specific song that you wish you could make a video for with unlimited access?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I have a couple like a lot of artists who I really want to work with, but those are like they're already signed to like big labels. So if I ever get an opportunity to do that, like I would do like this R&B artist called Six Black. I would love to do a Travis Scott music video. But those just like like rappers and stuff. Also like I'm very interested in doing electronic or house music because I want to like explore myself doing like multiple genres because you could play around with like the creativity, like for example right now like many EDM music like house music it just like there's like no story, and you could like I feel like if I will give a chance to do that, like I could um make something like unique and starting like a new like I don't know movement in those type of music video.
I want to talk about Swim, which is a project that you just wrapped like really, really recently, which is underwater. You filmed a lot of it underwater. Tell me all about, I mean, I saw the BTS pictures on your Instagram and it looks really incredible. So tell me all about it and like what the music video was about and all that kind of stuff.
So I got the project during spring break, which is around like I think February, March or something like that. It's been like a couple of months ago. But so right now I'm working with this company called 95 Exchange, and they are like they're like New Yorkers from New York City. They're from Westchester, and so what's the funny story is like one of the PA who used to be on my music video was one of the company founders, and he reached out to his friend, and then somehow like a couple of months like I would say like after 6 months that's the company created it, and so far they've been getting a lot of like music artists and stuff like that, like by reaching out to people using their own connection and stuff like that. And this shoot was with the artist called Aaron Knight, and he be in contact with them, and since because like they were seeing me doing a lot of like music video in scat, so they reached out to me, and then decided like, hey, like we have this on the table, would you be that interested and stuff like that. And that time was kind of like a weird time because it was also my transition from like not doing music video to short film, and I'm like, damn, like this is it's pretty decent budget. Would I want to like do that or not? So I decided I would do it because of like the opportunity and like the cards I have right now on the table. So I feel like like it takes so long to do a short film, so like sometimes like I'd rather just like I feel like my next like big short film is gonna be my senior thesis, and like other than that, just gonna be like commercial music video because like it's stuff that I could just like do 3 in a month. It's like like in 2 months, stuff like that. And I rather have as much like quality content than like a couple of short films, So I think that's a good way to build. And like what can you make with short film? You can't really make money,
Yeah, not not at all.
Like you're a really passion project that you really want to do, and then like at the end of the day, like you're wasting money to make film, while like you could wait in the future, to do it.
Yeah. So whenever the company reached out to you, did they have a concept, or were they like, "Here's a song, let us know what you're thinking"?
Yeah. So usually, they usually let the in-house director come up with their own treatment, and then usually just approve it. But most of the time, they are like very good at like helping creative be able to come up with our concept our own, and they're more of like a middleman between the artist and the and the film crew, which is good because like most of the time I don't have to deal with like artist manager and stuff like that, which like I told them like hey man, I just like let I just want to be in charge of like the visuals only. I don't care about the other stuff. I just want to be able to like do my thing and make a high quality content for them.
So tell me about shooting it underwater because that's new.
When I got the call from them about the project, and the song was featured with Quavo, which is like a very big rapper. So
Yeah.
I text one of my friend Ben Butchery, and he asked to co-direct with me, and I was like totally, because he's one of like my close friends. So we co-direct together, and then we got all the crews, and yeah, so we shot with underwater housing on red helium camera, and also we have a B camera on the Komodo, and we rent out the pool um, in Savannah, and that was like the most difficult process because COVID and also the law pools here are owned by like like the state or whatever, so like it's very hard to get through. So that's only like you can only reach out to the private pool and stuff like that.
Right.
But shooting wasn't crazy. A lot of times doing set, the camera like water comes in to see you, so we have to take it like the our DP have to take it out, and then one time our DP Rocco, he has to fix it for like probably 3 hours, so we lose a lot of like shooting time. But it's very difficult. So like shooting on films, like like I love to explore myself, because I feel like college right now is just about exploring yourself and doing different things so much you can, and work within the budget you have to make like the best product possible.
Right. I mean, that is exactly why. I mean, this conversation about like, is film school worth it comes up, and there's no answer for everybody. Like, it obviously depends on people's personal careers and all that kind of stuff. But my favorite thing about it is that like, it's basically like, here's a sandbox, a huge safety net for 4 years to just make stuff. And if it fails and doesn't make any money, well, that's okay, because you're in college and you're not really in the quote unquote real world yet. So I think that's by far the best thing to do in SCAD. I mean, I wish I could go back and like make more stuff, So I think that's fantastic. But you were talking about how you were about to be done with music videos. So I know you have some big short films that you're making this year. Tell me about them.
We just really fully locked our short film called Joe, which is written and directed by me, my friend Joe Sosby, and my friend Jerome. So we did this film around in the fall, like 2020, right? The middle of pandemic, like when it's like become like a thing. But we filmed it during COVID, and it's a short comedy about a character who's addicted to his phone, and how it first started was like like back then I was like just back home in Thailand during winter break, and I think 2019 I would say. I was like, damn, like I'm so addicted to my phone that I'm looking to like Instagram like so many times, spend like 6 hours on my phone. I was like, why, like why hasn't anyone make like a short film about it, And that's how the idea came to be, and I just started writing down, and then I know that my friend Joe always want to do like a short film, like doing his own short film. So I reached out to him, and then I kind of like type like couple like rough script or whatever, and I sent to him, and then he was just like acting a bit weird, and then like a couple of months later he just like opened it up and it's like, yo, the script is like trash, let me rewrite it and stuff like that. And Joe he's a stand-up comedy, and I met him because like we're neighbors in freshman dorms, and I actually hear him like for the first time in a SCAD talent show. He did a stand-up comedy, and then we were like all laughing. It was so funny, and we were like, well, we should we should be friends with that guy, And we the next month we just became friends, and we just like be our friendship from there. But yeah, so we did that film. um, we kind of like halfway through like the writing sessions, we just kind of like stopped, and we kind of lost our motivation, But right when before COVID hits, we finished the script, and we thought it would be ready to like start the production, and then in spring COVID hit, so we just like, oh, we'll stop. And that actually it's actually good for us, because that does give us more time to like rewrite the script and look it back again. And then Joe got his friend Jerome from Ohio. They're like childhood friend growing up, and he also go to film school in Kent, and he got on the project and then started rewriting the whole script. So basically, like the idea that I came up with was there, but like the whole script is all them. So it was very funny. So so I was very happy that like I trust them to rework the art and stuff like that.
How do you keep a singular vision when you have three people writing and also directing? Because I'll sometimes hear about a project being directed by like multiple people, and I kind of get wary of it because I've seen projects where there's multiple directors and like they just clash a lot because they don't have the same vision. Obviously that didn't happen with Joe, but how do you kind of make sure that the ship is going in the direction that you wanted it to, and that stays with the original vision that you had?
Very good question, because like if you ask like anyone, like why is that three directors?
Right. Yeah, that's the question.
The main reason was that like I don't really have any problem with that at first. A little bit I kind of like usually like I used to have like trust issues, so like it's kind of hard for me to like trust you, like, and just any general stuff. But I just realized that like I think that one of the best lessons to tell yourself is that like are you ready for it? Sometimes like a little hand would be able to it's good for you. So making the fact that that short film is like my first short film, like like in college, making it like like I want to make it the best. So, and I trust Joe and Jerome to like in charge of the like doing the thing. So like basically on set I was just watching the director monitor the whole time and just like so we kind of divided by like Joe and Jerome are in charge of like the dialogue, how the different approach of the acting, and I'm in charge of like the other film aspect, when like in terms of like the shot should looks like this, like this is how I want, and I production design too, how I want the background, how picking the locations, like kind of like creating a set, because like one of the scenes are like supposed to be like an interviewing room, like a studio, but we can't use the SCAD studio, so like we have to make a set that looks like a studio and stuff like that. So it's kind of like playing with like production design, like set dressing stuff. I'm very like I value color grading a lot, so that was like one of the main thing that I was in charge of. I was like I was the editor of the film too, and the reason is that like I could work closely with Joe and Jerome in terms of like execute the best vision for it, because like which means like I can like give like my personal time to dedicate to the film than other editor who just like like sometimes like like if you get an editor who never edit comedy or has but never worked with us, it will be harder to work with them, because they don't really like see the vision of it, and be able to like I'm basically like the middleman between like Premiere Pro and like Joe and Jerome, because like they don't really know how to use the program, so I'm like just like basically like a robot editing it.
Right. So working on that project where you have two other like key collaborators that are taking your original idea and evolving it, does that make you want to then on your next short film like be the only writer, be the only director, and like not be the editor? Like obviously it's working out, but does it kind of make you want to go the other way and just solely be the director?
Yeah. So definitely my senior project, I'm just gonna be like the only director, and in the writing process, I think it's always good to have multiple writers, because I'm dyslexic and I don't speak the language, so it's good to have like one or two writers who understand language and knows how screenwriting works, stuff like that, and who knows film, to be able to help you with that process of drafting a script, and but in the long run, like as long as the the story is personal to you, like how you want it to be,
Right. So in my research of your website and the work you've done, and just kind of talking around, I've heard your name a lot as someone at SCAD who's like really supportive of the film community? Obviously, if you're at SCAD, you probably, in the film program, you probably already are, but like you've contributed to projects and working on them as like an executive producer, you rent out your own equipment and that kind of stuff. So what about this indie film community makes you want to be that positive impact and that level of support? Because that's a really positive thing.
I don't know. I feel like there's a couple people in film, who just graduated or already did or still now that I like. I could see a lot of potential, and like sometimes I just see like myself like trying to make it to that, and I like if I have the resource that I could help people, I would, which is why I think that I like doing those things because, like, we grew up differently, and by doing that, I think it's just like, like you're just helping out, like we all like
Right.
we all in this together, like we all filmmakers trying to make a living. So, at the end of the day, just like, if they win, I win, like those type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. As the sea rises, we all rise. So, that's awesome. It's really positive to hear. We've talked about your incredible music video work, which you've done so many of, and of course these upcoming short films that you're working on. So as you look forward, like, do you see yourself wanting to focus on music videos, like being a music video director, or going in eventually into the feature world, or maybe the TV world? Do you want to do both? Which, like, how kind of where's your mind about that right now?
I would definitely want to do everything. To be honest, I want to
Yeah,
totally.
totally.
keep doing what I'm doing now. If I have like the cards on the table, like music video wise, but I also want to do um a lot of commercials just to explore myself in, and definitely like I think my senior project would be like my senior thesis will be a short film, and I think that would probably be my best work out of like ever. And once I like successfully done that, then I would definitely move myself into like a feature film, which like I already have a couple ideas that I want to, and like my idea was to recreate like the 90s in Thailand, and then I have like specific story that I want to do. But that's obviously like comes in later, and like eventually doing my own TV show, you know. But I would say a lot of my content will be like Asian related because of who I am and the culture I grew up from, because I feel like a lot of people are rushing to make movies and getting forced into making films that they is not themselves, and I feel like film is life, once you grow up on a certain age, you see more perspective on different, like things in the world, and that just give you more knowledge to make a better film.
I'm so glad you were talking about the idea of making something like 90s in Thailand sounds so cool. So I hope one day you can make that, because that sounds amazing. But I'm glad you were talking about your background and making films inspired by that, because that is a perspective that we don't get that often in like the films that are huge. Obviously people are making those films, but like in the huge films that everybody knows about, in America, and it's a perspective that we haven't had on the podcast. So I'm excited to dive into that. How do you think growing up in Thailand and now living in America and going to film school in America and honing your craft here, how do you think that affects your philosophies on filmmaking and the kind of stories that you want to tell?
I would say that I'm a very like observant guy, and I love people watching, and sometimes like rather than just me like ranting, like talking about stuff, I like to listen to people more. And I feel like going up from Thailand, giving me like totally different culture, and coming here like I'm super observant on on people here than like locals do, I think. And it's just about like I don't know. I feel like it's just weird. It's just life. It's just like sometimes you just see things differently. And those things when you like when you look at something and you were you hear a story, or you like like you're like, wow, like that's amazing. And I'm glad that there's like like film to make me able to like tell the story to everyone else.
Yeah, totally. You had you posted on Instagram whenever Sicily got into the Atlanta Film Festival, which is like a really big deal. That's a great festival, and it's very well deserved because I love that music video. You posted that like it's been a really great learning experience making that film, and very rewarding as someone from Thailand trying to like figure out their voice in America, and as a filmmaker and as an artist and all that kind of stuff. So kind of walk me through that that journey of finding your voice and how like, I mean, I feel like you now have like a really, really good idea of what you want to do and the kind of stuff that you're able to make, and you make really great stuff. So just kind of walk me through that journey and how you've grown as an artist.
So, like I would say that music video is like another like turning point, from like
Right.
like I have been like trying to like from that project on, I'm doing a couple music video recently, and I would say that like none of my project is like as favorite as that one, so which means that I think that I can consider as a good music video, because if that's your if your work cannot like top your past work, then that's when that like that's the turning point for you, so that's kind of like my turning
Yeah.
point for me to like start exploring different stuff, like different types of things, like genre music video wise. And yeah, I didn't see myself like I didn't grow up with listen to rap songs or like hip hop back then. I grew up like listen to pop, like same my country songs, stuff like that. So be able to like see that like I'm doing a rap music video now, like just makes it different. And I'm not saying that I want to do that like any much way too longer. I just do it because it's only this only thing I could do right now. Like I don't want to do like cover music video. I just want to do like something that's official and like I could call it my own.
So I'm curious what advice you would have for other filmmakers who are trying to figure out their voice. I think that is something that, a lot of my peers are in various different parts of their careers. I still have friends that are still at SCAD and don't really know what they want to do. And I have friends who are like at insane jobs, at the peak of their career. But we are all always learning. It's always evolving as you grow as a different person. I mean, I'm certainly a different filmmaker in person I am now than a year ago, And so I'm curious what advice you have to people who are figuring that out, but specifically people who are from, another country and living in America, because I'm sure that can be like a huge culture shock in a way. So based on your experience, what advice would you give?
So answering the question of like coming from like being international, I feel like that's being international is already like a key, like like a more opportunity. I think coming from different culture is giving you more unique story pretty much. So I think that's your answer right there, is to embrace your culture and like tell the story in your own eyes. But for people who still like, because I would say that like as much as it seems like I've been doing a lot of projects, like no the end of the day I don't really like know exactly what I want. Most of the time I would know what I want. Like every day I wake up and I kind of know what I want to do, like today I want to do in the future. But like we like you said, we all like figuring it out. And every day you learn stuff, like and it's just about like the time. Like you could be the president of US in like when you're like what 60, 70 years old. It's just the time. And there's really nothing you need to rush it. But at the end of the day, like you gotta do it now or it won't happen. Stop like complaining, stop like whining about like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, oh, he's doing this, like that's just like it's not gonna work. You just gotta if you just want something, you just do it. And it's like the term, like if you want it, you gotta go get it. Like not no one's gonna get it to you. Especially if you're like international. Like if you don't, if you haven't seen that, like if you're not doing anything now, like you won't have a job in this country. You just have to make as much art as you can. Pretty much that. And sometimes you just gotta like the biggest thing is like you just need to know what you're good at, what you're good, what you're not, and instead of like trying so hard to become something that you're not supposed to be, or like trying new things basically. Like I didn't know that like I could become like a gaffer or a DP, but I know that like like holding cameras or like technical stuff is not for me, so I just have to like know what specifically you want to do, and you could not know like tomorrow, today, next month, but you'll figure out it soon, so it's just all about figuring out. Life is about figuring out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like every single person I know is trying to figure it out right now. So looking forward, you're going to be graduating next year. What is like the big goal, the big North Star that's like keeping you through, that you're shooting for?
So I have a lot of high hopes with the company I'm working for. I think that I would be able to do like at least 10 or 20 music videos before I graduated. Um, in terms of like commercial wise too, I could see myself doing a couple of commercials. But what I'm really looking forward to is the short film, my senior thesis, and because there's like we're still in the pre-production phase where we just like I'm bossing my ideas to myself, and we move on to like meeting with the screenwriter and then start bossing out ideas and come up with the script. But one of my goal for the short, like the short film that I'm gonna make is it's gonna be half in Thailand, so which is gonna be like very cool to do and very unique. Um, and it's like I really like it's like right now the idea is super rough, so I could not really like tell you what it is about, but it's like it's like a very personal piece. So that's like one of the big factor that keep me going to my senior year, and the goal is to get into like obviously a big festival, but like like I don't think I should be worried about that like now. I just have to be worried about making like the best story possible.
Man, I would love to have you back on when you're like in production or right after it production next year, because I think the fact that you're filming part of it in Thailand is going to be really, really cool. So I'd love to have you back on to talk about that, because that sounds like it's going to be a great project, and I'm sure a lot of cool stories are going to come from that. So it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, this has been so much fun. I'm glad I've gotten the chance to actually like meet you and talk to you and learn about your work. The fact that you've been able to create this body of work while not even graduating yet is really, really impressive. So I love what you do, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And, I just look forward to seeing your thesis film and of course, all the stuff that you make after SCAD. But yeah, I mean, everyone who's listening, if you don't know, we do video episodes of this podcast now, so you can check that out on our YouTube channel. Links to that are in the description, and links to Pong's website and all of his work are in the description as well. You should definitely check that out and learn more about him and what he's making. Pong, thank you again for being here. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, everybody, the next episode comes out Mondays at 9 a.m., and we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, thanks. Thank you.